Hello everyone, welcome to episode 6 of Flashback Royal Rumble. This time around we'll be going over the 1993 Royal Rumble pay-per-view. First off, overall, this was a very average show. I mean, to me it was average at best. The undercard was okay, it was pretty good, and nothing big stood out for me. The Rumble match was also pretty average in itself. Couple things to note here. This pay-per-view right here would be the debut of the Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott. Rick and Scott had already made a name for themselves in the tag team world in NWA, WCW, and Japan, and other promotions around the world. This would be their very first time in the WWF, in Vince's promotion, and to me it was pretty lukewarm at best, but it was just them to showcase their talent, and they would definitely have better days in the company within the days to come. An also thing to note would be the return of Bam Bam Bigelow. Now, last time we saw Bam Bam Bigelow in the WWF, it was back in around the late 80s when he was a babyface and managed by Sir Oliver Humperdinck. But this time around, he's a heel, and to me, that suits him the best. To me, Bam Bam Bigelow was way better as a heel. I mean, come on, the guy wore flames around his tights. He had flames tattooed around his bald head. Come on, anybody that would dress like that has to be a good heel. In his match, he took on the Big Boss Man, which was a pretty good match, and again, it was just to establish himself as a heel, and he would definitely have better days to come in the WWF. Also of note, sorry if I forgot, but the Steiner brothers took on the Beverly brothers. Again, the match wasn't that much, just to establish the Steiner brothers that they're in the WWF and they're ready to make a name for themselves in the top company at the time. Anyway, another thing of note was the Intercontinental Championship match between Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, in which Shawn Michaels retained the title. Honestly, their match back in May of '93 on an episode of Raw, which was named Match of the Year by the Pro Wrestling Illustrated, would definitely be better than this match they had at the Royal Rumble. But yeah, I mean, I personally didn't see a problem with it. It's just that they would have better matches within later in the year. Also, a thing of note would be the WWF Championship match between champion Bret the Hitman Hart and Razor Ramon. Razor Ramon was a newcomer. He barely debuted back in late '92. Had a Survivor Series match with Ric Flair against Savage and Perfect, and this would be an already breakout match for him, as he would be paired up with Bret Hart. And Bret Hart definitely was a great champion. He was a credible champion, very reliable, and he had that kind of talent that can make anybody look good, and he definitely showed it in this matchup. Honestly, it was a very good match. I mean, it definitely left you guessing until the end. I mean, I actually thought that Razor would actually have a chance of winning, and to me, that's how good of a talent Bret Hart really is. He has that ability to make anybody have a snowball's chance in hell to be WWF champion. This was no exception. Razor Ramon and Bret Hart put on a great matchup, and I personally liked it, and it was definitely a hidden gem. Then we move on to the 1993 Royal Rumble match. From now until the rest of the Royal Rumble history, we now have a permanent meaning, a permanent stipulation. Now, starting at the 1993 Royal Rumble, the winner of the match would receive a title match at WrestleMania. And to me, it was long overdue because it needed something. Because at this time, it really needed something to have that meaning. Because, I mean, if they continued it to be a novelty act, it wouldn't have gone anywhere. And so they really needed a stipulation, and they finally did it. And from this point forward, it would finally have a stipulation. Unlike the 1992 Royal Rumble from the year prior, where It had intrigue, it had all this suspense, it had everything on it. It had a star-studded roster of superstars that anyone could have a chance of winning. This one, honestly, I could think of like only a handful, maybe 2 handfuls, of people that had a legitimate chance of winning. And this was also the debut of Yokozuna. Yokozuna, who also debuted in late '92, was being established as a monster heel. Being managed by Mr. Fuji and later on by James Cornette, Yoko was an unstoppable force, and he proved it here in his showing at the 1992 Royal Rumble. 1993 Royal Rumble, I'm sorry. Well, it didn't take long for Ric Flair's record of 56 minutes to be broken by Bob Backlund, who was the number 2 entrant, and Flair was the number 1 entrant, looking to rekindle back his old magic from the year before. But, of course, that didn't happen. Bob Backlund went on to break his record of over an hour. I believe it was 61 minutes, and I can't remember how many seconds. But, the point being, Bob Backlund broke the record, and the record would be established until years later. And also debut would be the gigantic debut of Giant Gonzalez. Giant Gonzalez made his debut here as he attacked The Undertaker, thus causing him to be eliminated. Now, I'm pretty sure this is one of the feuds that Undertaker wished had not happened. I mean, if anybody remembers the feud with Giant Gonzalez and The Undertaker, it was not good at all. I mean, first of all, Giant Gonzalez could not work at all. Seriously, he had very limited mobility. He couldn't talk, I mean, which was pretty fine because he had Harvey Whippleman as manager, but that's not saying a lot. No offense to Harvey Whippleman, but again, this was I don't know what Vince was thinking when he hired Giant Gonzalez. I don't know if he actually thought that The Undertaker and Giant Gonzalez could be a great main attraction, but if he did, it did not come to fruition. It did not. So, anyway, it ends up with Yokozuna eliminating Randy Savage. Thus, Yokozuna becomes the number 1 contender for WrestleMania 9 to challenge Bret Hart for the WWF title. So, I mean, overall, very average show. Just to showcase the debuts of Yokozuna, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Scott Steiner. Very good WWF title match. A pretty good Intercontinental title match, which would definitely be better later in the year. But other than that, it was pretty average at best. Well, that'll do it for this edition of Flashback Royal Rumble. Next time, I'll be reviewing the 1994 Royal Rumble event. Don't forget to leave a comment, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at JJMWWE89. And we'll see you next time, and take care, y'all.